Hi everyone, my name's Anne-Marie. Welcome to this Christmas card making project. This project we're going to make a very elegant card using some of Anna Griffin's gorgeous items. Everything I do use will be put on my blog in a detailed list, and you'll be able to see some photos of the project and see the other projects that's on there. There's hundreds of them, so be sure to check my blog out. If you've ever got any questions, you can always contact me through my blog or Facebook, not YouTube. You can comment on YouTube, but I can't reply to you. I can only reply on Facebook or my blog. Okay, so that's our housekeeping out the way. So what we're going to make is gorgeous. It really is something very simple, classy and elegant. This is my favourite side of card base. And I apologise for using my favourite size of 7x5, but I just think it is the perfect size when you're making cards. So this is how it looks on my cardometer. A4 is the largest size on there, which across the pond your A4 is a tiny bit smaller, but when you fold it up you get the A5, which across the pond is A3. So then our next size is the 7x5. So that gives you a rough idea of what size it is that we're going to be working with. The cardometer was my idea to be able to show you and give you perspective at home of what size I use. Then you can think, oh yeah, I'm reused a 7x5, what size is that? Whether you look at a piece of paper, a piece of card or use a ruler, it gives you an idea and scope of what there is. So as always, the first thing I'm going to use is my bone folder to make a good sharp score along the edge of the card. Even though it was in a factory made, we still need that nice sharp score. So then we can turn our attention to the inside of our card. And the first thing I have is a piece of Anna's cardstock, and this is from the Perfect Palette collection. Now on the Perfect Palette collection there was 3 colours in Ivory. There's Ivory, like this kind of buttermilk colour, and then the glitter colour. So those are what we're using, all 3 from the Perfect Palette. So I've got double-sided tape on the back of this, and you might have noticed I've got what's commonly known as a hole or an aperture in the middle of this. There is a reason for it. I haven't gone bonkers. I haven't forgotten to add a middle. But what I've done is I've just simply die cut a rectangle out of the centre, and you could use any shape. So I've die cut the centre, and then I've gone ahead and cut the same size out of the Ivory cardstock. Then I've stamped it, and it says sending love and warm wishes this Christmas. So I've taken it through the Xyron machine, and now because it's both used by the same die, it will inlay perfectly into the centre. Now for the front of the card we're going to be using one of Anna's fretwork dies, like that. That's the entire die. So for the inside what I've done is I've die cut it in the buttermilk colour. Now there's probably a great fancy name for the cardstock, but I'm going to call it buttermilk because I think that blends it quite well. No pun intended. So I've die cut the fretwork die, and then I've trimmed it off at both ends. So where it's in its full state, here I've trimmed it, just taken the scissors round the edge, and I've been left with this. So quite easy and it's not that fiddly. So I'm just going to add a little bit of glue on the back. Now you can take a bit more time over this than me because I'm kind of gonna, well, I'm not rushing so much, but obviously you can glue a bit more and make sure you've got glue on the scrolly bits and just take your time a little bit more. So I can now add glue on the second piece, and I've just thought now with these flourishes it looks a bit like a butterfly, this bit here. You could do something with that on, you know, on a different project. Not this one because this is going to be Christmas, but it's kind of like a butterfly. So very pretty. So now we can add our second one, just running over the edge of the sentiment in the middle and the edge of the card like that. Press it down, and that is our insert finished. So that will take hold nicely while we do the front. So I said it's nice and elegant, so we're only using the 3 colours. So the first layer for the base is the buttermilk. Now again you can see a nice whacking great big hole in the middle of it. This is because this is going to be my base layer and I'm being economical with it. I've just cut out a rectangle because I'm going to use the rectangle further on in our card. So I thought rather than cover it all over, we can be economical and we can save it for further on in our project. There we go. Because we like to get the most out of our products that we can. We spend our well hard-earned money on them, so we want them to stretch as much as they can. Now the next layer is the ivory. I haven't taken the centre out of this one because we're going to see all of this one, and it's going to cover this bit over. You're not going to get a dip in your cardstock because it's cut from the centre, and this is a good weight of cardstock, so it will cover over it. Plus also we've got the die to go over the top of it. So that's our next layer. So we've got the buttermilk and then the ivory. Next we've got our fretwork die, and this is from the glitter that's in the perfect palette in the, you know, the 3 ranges of the colours. And I'm going to use my glue, which is Glossy Accents, to glue this down, and I'm looking for places that's wider to be able to add the glue to. So when you make a die cut, you can look on the back of them to find the areas that you can add glue to that are wider than others, and then that way, you know, you've got a good surface for the glue, if that makes sense. So again, at home you'll be able to take a little bit more time over doing that and add it to a lot more of the areas. So now we can press that down just so the glue takes hold, and then we can go to our next layer, which is the layer that we saved from the base of the card. If you remember, I cut it out because I was being economical. So I've run it through the Xyron machine, and then I've also cut a piece of the ivory glitter cardstock, which I've run through the Xyron machine. And I just wanted to show you and point out that even though this is glitter card, as you can see, the Xyron hasn't affected it. It hasn't, you know, made it shed any glitter. It hasn't torn it, ripped it. It hasn't done anything to it. It's still as it was when it first went through. And the bit that you can see there is from when I've die cut it. Being very honest, there must have been a flake of paper left from a previous die cut that was a red colour by the looks of that. There we go. Just take that away. So those are our 2 layers that went through the Xyron machine. So I can peel that off and I can add this through the centre of our card. Now, if in doubt, even though you've got the glue from the Xyron, because you've got the glitter cardstock underneath, you shouldn't need any extra glue, but if you do, just add a touch to be able to help it adhere to the underneath. And then, because I've kind of thought about this, the little hooks from the fretwork die underneath fit perfectly to my rectangle on top. You see how they just hook over? I was going to say by pure chance, but I measured the square so that it would just fit into the rectangle. Next, I've taken one of Anna's sentiments, Peace, Love and Joy, because this is a classic Christmas card and this is a classic sentiment, and I've taken it from the Angelic Toppers kit. This is Angelic Toppers number 1 because that's the one that we've had in the UK. I know there was just recently a second one that Anna's brought out, which is just as beautiful as the first, but this was from the first kit. So I've peeled the back of it away. I'm going onto the glitter cardstock. I'm going to add just a tad of glue, just in case, because I'd like it to stick. I shouldn't have any problems, but that's ensuring that I won't have. So that's taking the possibility of it away. So far so good. Now I think that just needs a bow underneath, and I think that's finished. That is just such a classy card, and that's our little bow to finish it off. And we could just straighten that up a little bit, I think. There we go. So that's our outside that matches perfectly to the inside. Very elegant, very understated. Sometimes some people, I know, I can't believe it either, they don't like lots of colour at Christmas. They just want something that's elegant and a good tone-on-tone combination. Well, this is, I think that fits the bill perfectly. Stands up nicely. There's no extra height to it. You've only got the little bit from the sentiment, so it's going to fit into a normal envelope. So it's not going to cost you anything extra for your postage. And that will go on a mantelpiece. That is just so pretty and just clean and classic, I think. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this, and it just sort of remains for me to say I shall see you next time.